You retweet it. First question I'm gonna jump into.
Oh God.
No. And this is something. No.
You can't be
I'm sure maybe this question is something that maybe Jamal can attest to because he was there back in the day around that time for Albert Leonard days or whatever.
Okay.
A question that I would ask guests from time to time, but I haven't done this in a minute. When you hear the phrase the lunch table or the cafeteria, whether it be middle school, high school, college, or whatever, what's your fondest memories of you being in the cafeteria? Because we know the cafeteria was where boys turned to men, women would curve guys, bake sales, and all the nasty freaky stuff was going under the table, all sorts of stuff. But for you in particular, what's your fondest memory? Yeah, I'll go all the way. I cover the whole spectrum. You know how I get it up. What's your fondest memory of the cafeteria in your glory days?
Man, went from bake sale to getting curved. Facts.
I don't know. I feel like I don't really have
You was in the caf? What?
I was very I feel like I wasn't necessarily.
He was low key, super low key.
Yeah, I wasn't when I think about my high school days, I wasn't really in the mix with everybody like that. And
I met you in high school around the time, so
you did, but not until towards the end.
No, because let me see, my junior year, I think I met you around sophomore or junior, the latest. Definitely no longer than that. You was outside. You was definitely outside in the mix. Gil, she lying.
I'm not at all. I call it out, but she's not lying at all.
Can you what memory can you think of me?
I wasn't at the high school. I wasn't at the. Oh my gosh. Yes, I was at. See, that's what I said. I was just at the high school.
Mix everywhere.
I was at the high school. I was at Salesian. I was on the other side of town.
Towards the end of the day.
I was always towards the end of the day, never in the caf and everything like that. But so it seems like your time at the table was low key.
For me, it wasn't the cafeteria. For me, it was Miss Naima's office.
Oh.
I don't know who that is, but it sounds like that was bad.
He didn't go to that.
Go ahead, elaborate. Go ahead, expand on that, please.
Yeah. That's where all of us went. Me, Tasha, at least my crew. At the time, it was for me. It really wasn't a lunchroom. It was Miss Naima's office.
A strong black woman.
Facts. That.
Any woman named Naeem is gonna be a strong black woman, G. I never met one week when you had.
She was our mentor. We went there for everything.
I feel that.
Okay. She had a good, powerful spot though too.
Yeah, she held us down. If we got in trouble, anything. That's where I went. So that was my.
You gotta tell them what was her role though at the school though.
She worked in the math department. I forget that guy's name. It was the black guy. She was his assistant.
He was my calculus teacher too.
He was actually
Gurney?
Mr. Morris.
Damn.
Yes, Mr. Morris. Yes.
Wow, that's
so she was his assistant.
Okay.
And he fucked with us too though. But he was one of those where okay, what you guys doing? Y'all been in here for a minute. What's your class?
Schedule's out.
Can't be sitting in here all day. He was on us and he was almost talking to us like a father figure, kind of without being our fathers, obviously. And she was his assistant, and we kind of just built that relationship with them. And I spent majority of my time there, even when I wasn't going to class.
With her.
See, that's ill because when I went to a school that went from 7th to 12th. And we had a teacher, he was a social studies teacher. For some reason, all social studies teachers seem to be ill in my life in terms of how much facts they were spitting from young to old. He was also the dean in my school.
Oh wow.
So
clout.
And he was a dude with dreads, light skinned dude with dreads, kind of looked like Ice-T a little bit. But he was, when I say he was mad cool, he probably was one of the few teachers that followed the curriculum, but yet we still knew everything we needed to know when the Regents test came.
Yeah.
And I could kind of second what you were saying in terms of being a mentor figure. So for you, was that one of your first female mentors? Or did you have ones before that?
No.
And then how did that?
She was my first. She helped us with everything. Even the circle that we had at the time when we had beef, she was mediating everything.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to prom, I went through my fair share of shit.
Okay.
On
last
prom
year.
nights?
Yeah.
Indeed.
I went through my fair share of issues. she like helped and tried to like mediate everything. Like she was there for like essentially like she was like our mentor, but she was also like our friend. Because it wasn't like she was like a lot older than us. I believe she was. I feel like I want to say she was in her 20s at the time.
Definitely.
Oh, okay. So she was.
So she was like a mentor.
Able to relate,
friend,
the big sister in the sense.
Yeah, like relationship. Like even though like I'm not typically someone that goes to anybody for like relationship advice, but like friends.
We gonna talk on that later. Okay, you fell right to the rabbit hole. I was like,
that's real though. Like I feel like in New Rochelle High School there was like fair. There were a decent amount. Relatively a decent amount of like black higher up people that were able to be role models. Like you got like Dr. Tibbet, whether everybody liked her or not, you know what I'm saying? It was still a black woman in a powerful role. Like Angie brought up before, Mr. Morris, who was the head of the math department. To see a black man like at the head of the math department, you know what I'm saying, who's hiring black women who can come in and be that role model for, and not even even if it's not a role model, like that like outlet for young high school girls to come talk to about things that she can still relate to because she's not that far removed from that.
Right.
So that value right there, like I feel like in the majority of high schools, that wasn't really there for black people. And then on top of that, you got black coaches.
Especially in Westchester, though.
Especially in Westchester.
especially
we grew up in burbs.
With the whites.
So, you know what I'm saying? So that was really good.
I live border of Larchmont.
Yo.
I'm the only black family in my neighborhood.
I never even seen your crib or where you lived at.
Well, no, I want to say not now. It's a little bit more diverse, but like when I was like up until like college, we were the only black family in that neighborhood, and there was one black kid, but he was adopted by white people.
That's crazy. So then that kind of bleeds into my next question of how did instances like that kind of shape how you go into the collective shades, and then dang, you just jump straight into it in terms of you being the only black family on the block. How do you feel like, you know, just like, you know, what you're doing with the Girls We Know podcast, and something I want you to just expand on a little bit more. We're talking all of that. But also just the collective shades, because I just like the idea of all different shades of us.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it comes to women and black women, because black women in particular now are in a sense are in a place of unification where at one point in time everything was about the competitive nature of it.
Right.
So, you know, how is, you know, your podcast kind of changing the landscape of maybe being a mentor? How does the things that you've been through in life contributed to it?
So, you know, when I was growing up in Westchester, and I want to New Rochelle in specific, I didn't really like, this was never like a thought. Because New Rochelle High School, like I went to like diverse schools, even though like I didn't specifically live in a diverse neighborhood, my school was diverse. So like it never really crossed my mind anything about like discrimination, about like, you know, white versus black. It wasn't like that until I moved to the city and I was working in the fashion industry. And I was like, okay, you're on your own now.
Both.
Right. So when I left high school, I moved to the city. I moved in with my dad. I was going to FIT for a little bit, and then
shout out to FIT.
I left and I went to the Art Institute, and that's where I actually got my degree from. And when I was going on my internships and my jobs, I know that I'm more than qualified. There's no reason that I should be going on these job interviews and I'm showing you what to do.
That's crazy.
And I didn't get the job. And then when you look at the people that did get the job, not only are they less qualified, but they look like her. They don't look like me.
Yeah.
So it's like that I want to say it started to fuck with me, because it's like then you see things like with like Gucci, like when they was designing, you're not giving us a seat at that table, which is why shit like this happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I got a question for you on that too. This is a question.
He's been activated now. He's been activated now. He's activated.
No aggressive shit, like because this is one of those things where people that view it from the outside, like we don't have any like insight into the fashion industry. So our question is, like as thinkers, we think of, okay, there's one way. It's like, okay, they didn't have any black people in there.
Yeah.
But on the other side, there were black people in that room that didn't have the balls to speak up because they didn't want to like make that wave. So if you're in those situations and you've been somewhere, like you just said, like didn't get hired, probably because you knew more than that person and that makes them uncomfortable, but also because, all right, yeah, you black, like I'm good on that. I don't want to hire a black person. Like that's the realest of it all. So like knowing what that you struggle to get a job in that industry despite being qualified, if you're in one of those rooms where it's just like, okay, there's some wild racist shit happening here, and it's just like, I don't want to call this out because if I say something, then it's just like, yo, first of all, shut up. You shouldn't even be speaking in this room right now. Mm-hmm. But then the second thing is, it's like, are you telling me that our design is not good? Right. I've been in this industry for 25 years. And I work in advertising. You know what I'm saying? I work in advertising. So I work on the digital side, which is the new age. And I'm talking to people that's been in the game for 30 years. And this is just advertising we talking about now. So they focused on print, TV, and all that stuff. You talking fashion. So it's like Ralph Lauren. Like, okay, I'm Ralph Lauren. I've been in this game this long. I'm Gucci, Louis Vuitton. I've been in the game this long. You're not going to tell me. Right. You're not going to tell me what's quote unquote racist. So how would you in those situations deal with that if you were actually in those rooms?
Well, for one, I've only worked in the fashion industry, so I can only speak to that. It's not for the faint of heart. Word. Like, I couldn't imagine. You could get chewed up and spit out. I've had my fair share of moments where, like, I broke down. And I'm like, yo, like, this is, I can't fucking deal with this. Word. But you also get to a point where it's like, yo, this shit is fucking whack. Like, this is, and you realistically, you have to get that mindset. Like, you can't be scared to speak up. And like, if I, like, let's say, like, I lost my job today, I will be okay with that because I know that I said how I felt. I would be okay with that. Dignity. Maybe like me back then, I'd have been too scared. Yeah. And I do get that. I really think it depends on the circumstances. Like, you know, people have like kids and like people that are dependent on them, so they may not want to make moves like that. Yeah, because I don't have anybody dependent on me.
True. That's a real statement right there.
I don't have anybody depending on me, and like thankfully I was blessed with parents who, like, God forbid something happened, they could help me. So I really have nothing to hold me back.